Welcome to Places to Go with Heather Gill. In this episode of People to Know, I'm interviewing the industrious, amazing Tony Smith with One Source Restorations. Tony, thank you so much for being on the show today. Tell us a little bit about how you got into roofing.
No, it's kind of a long story, Heather. Back after I got out of high school, during high school, the last 3 years of high school, I went to builder trades maintenance, where I pretty much learned every trade out there that there is.
Oh, wow.
After I got out of high school, I started working in those fields and got a lot of hands-on experience, pretty much from concrete up through roofing. And then after a couple of years of that, I decided to join the Army, and I spent 4 years in the Army. And once I got out, I moved back home and started looking around and decided that I wanted to live in Texas. So I made a trip to Texas, and it all worked out for me pretty well. I started off in construction.
Okay.
And then did a couple pretty big jobs. My last job in the construction field before I started going on into the commercial side of it anyways, I coordinated the entire Six Flags Titan roller coaster.
Oh, wow.
And once that was done, I had a friend that got me pointed into real estate. And when I started into real estate, I was working in the REO division.
Right.
And that pretty much means real estate owned for mortgage companies. And any time that there's a foreclosure, the property would actually come to me, and then I would handle it from evictions through the sale.
Okay.
What I ended up doing was project managing most of my portfolio. I was rehabbing from a cubicle at corporate. So I decided after several years of doing that I wanted to get back out in the field, be a little more hands-on, and leave the corporate world. So that's pretty much how I ended up where I'm at now.
Oh, awesome. So I got to say, I love the fact that you did the trade school stuff in high school. My brother did the same thing. He did something called VOTEC, Vocational Technical Training. He did like 60 hours of shop. So he had like his shop certificate by the time he got out, and he just went straight into some dealership, started working right out of high school, and probably got paid a lot more right out of high school than some of his peers.
I just was saying it was a really good program. I was glad that it was available to me.
No, I love it. I know there are a couple of high schools that still offer it. Denton ISD has a shop program specifically, and so they'll do some trades training. Man, I'm looking around at the environment that we're in right now. You know, the people that are working, the people that are in trades. Yeah. Absolutely. Those guys, they're still at it. They're still doing what they do. And God bless everybody who works in that, because we need them.
Yeah, for sure.
Right on. So I love that story. That's awesome. So you did that for a bit. You went and served in the Army for a bit. And thank you so much for your service. That's awesome.
Thank you.
And then from there you transitioned, and you said you worked in REOs for a little bit. Tell me just briefly a little bit more about the REO world and what you did.
That was a rough career path, because no one wants to be the guy that actually puts people out of their homes.
For sure.
And that was a big part of my job, because like I briefly stated, once they foreclosed on the property, the file would hit my desk. And from that point forward, I would order the evictions, order the lockouts, and take care of all that. Once all that was done, then I would order the values. I typically get a BPO from an agent, and then depending on the value of the property, I'd either get 2 BPOs or I'd get a BPO and an appraisal.
Right.
To kind of decide where my value needed to be.
Okay.
And then you had to study the entire neighborhood that the house was in, and do your research and see what upgrades the houses had around you and what your house was lacking. And then from that point forward, then you decide how much ROI is in the property, and if it's worth dumping several $1,000s in to put granite or new hardwood floors. And then once the ROI is determined, then we go ahead and do the repairs.
Okay.
And once the repairs were completed, I again would get some updated values, and we'll start the marketing process, get the agent to get it listed. And then any offers that come in, I would work them, either work them, accept them, reject them, And then once they were under contract, get the contract signed, get everything over to title. Half of the title stuff I handled myself. We did have a title department, but a lot of the stuff I was handling on my end. So it was pretty much a one-stop shop what I was doing there as well.
Wow. So to break it down for a few folks real quick. So BPO is broker price opinion. So he would get with the realtor, they'd do BPO, give him an idea what it was worth. And then ROI is return on investment. So for you, for what y'all were doing, it sounds like you were involved in actually kind of flipping the house a little bit. You would actually repair it or bring it up to market if it was below market so that you could get the value back out of it. I didn't know REOs did that, so that was news to me.
Yeah.
So very intriguing. Thanks for breaking that down a little bit more. I love real estate. I'm a realtor, so I'm always looking to learn more about that. So knowing that you're in roofing and knowing that it is springtime in Texas, I just imagine this is probably the kickoff of your busy season. Can you tell us a little bit more about what you guys do at One Source Restoration and fill us in?
We pretty much do everything. We handle everything from the foundation up. The only thing that we don't handle is the actual foundation, landscaping, and sprinklers. That's the only three things that we don't handle.
Okay.
We are a general contractor, so for your smaller projects, we're going to be a little more expensive just because of the overhead and everything that goes in with that.
Right.
But as far as insurance claims, whether it's wind, fire, water damage, hail damage, we're your go-to people. We're not the company that's out there knocking doors. We work specifically from past customers and their referrals. So yeah, that's pretty much us in a nutshell. We handle everything, knowing that we work on past customers and referrals. You know that you're going to get a job that you're 110% satisfied, because I need you to give me your referrals and I need you to call me back in the future when you have issues.
I gotta say, like, I love that y'all have that integrity, because like some roofers aren't worth a grain of salt.
Right. There's a lot of bad roofers. And that makes my job hard, because you go in the door, you know that they're thinking bad about you before you even step in. But by the time you leave, they're happy with you and you hear from them over and over again. So it's rewarding.
Very good. Very good. You know, we're coming into storm season right now here in North Texas. And would there be anything that you would recommend for homeowners to do that would either, help maybe minimize loss, minimize risk? Anything that they can do that'd be precautionary in this moment?
Pretty much the only thing you can do with disasters to protect yourself is to actually make sure you got a good insurance policy.
True.
With a reputable insurance company. Kind of steer clear of the big box insurance companies, because they're not always out for your best interest. The main thing that you can do as a homeowner is just make sure that you got your 1% deductible in line and in writing before you get hit with a storm, because a 2% or a 3% deductible, I run into this stuff a lot, and it really puts the homeowner in a hardship, because that's a lot of money to come up with. Instead of having to come up with $2,000, you're having to come up with 4, 6, sometimes $8,000. When all it basically what it took was 5 minutes of your time to call your agent and make sure that you're set up correct.
Right. No, that's really good sound advice. And right now, why not? Why not give them a call and just have that quick conversation? Because golly, if you've got a house that's over 3,000 square feet and you have a 2 or 3% deductible, that's going to be a lot of money coming out of your pocket. And from what I understand, roofers can no longer rebate money back to their clients, right?
Right. Well, they've never been able to rebate money back to their clients. That's always been against the law. That's actually a federal offense. So yeah, you can't pocket any money when it comes to an insurance claim. Right. There is a couple other things that homeowners should look into and make sure that they got an RCV policy over an ACV. Okay. An ACV is the actual cash value. So basically what that means is if you got a 20-year roof and it's 15 years old, the insurance company is only going to pay you for the remainder of the life of that roof, which is 5 years, which is not going to be very much. It's only going to be a couple $1,000. A typical roof is $15,000. Right. So yeah, make sure that you got the RCV policy on there as well.
Okay, so RCV and not ACV.
Correct.
Okay, so when you make that call, make sure you double check that too.
Yes.
Okay, good advice. I love it. Well, let's transition now. As fun and exciting as roofs are, I want to know a little bit more about you, Tony. And I know you got some hobbies, things you love to do. Share a little bit of that with us, would you please?
I love the fishing and boating and ATVs. I don't get a lot of time to do that anymore, but if I had my choice, that's what I would do in a lot of my spare time.
Right.
I got a 14 and a 12-year-old. Yeah, it's pretty much running with the kids and enjoying them growing up. They grow up awfully quick.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. We've got a 17, a 15, and a 13-year-old at home right now. Man, and they're just going, like the 17-year-old is taller than me. I'm like, hey, dude, like it's crazy. It's totally crazy.
My 14-year-old, he's about 3 inches taller than me. He's at about 6'2" right now at 14.
Your 13-year-old?
Yeah, 14, my son.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I tell you, it's like they wake up one day, their voice is lower, they've got stubble, and they're taller. It's like, what? Like, no.
And the mustache.
It's like, how did that happen? No, that's awesome though. Yeah, I mean, if your kids do any kind of competitive sport whatsoever, it takes a lot of time, and so I'm glad that you're able to do that with your kids. Once we get back to normal outside of COVID-19, I'm sure that you'll be right there with them, cheering them on. And I love that.
Yep, for sure.
I have a bonus question for you. All right. If you had to pick between a salty treat or a sweet treat, which one and why?
Probably the salty. Salty comes across to me, believe it or not, as sweet.
Okay.
I'm not a big chocolate fan, so I'm more of a salty type of guy. I don't know if that's good or bad, but
okay. So if it's your birthday and we're throwing a party for you, don't show up with some chocolates. You'll be like, whatever, but show up with like some
margaritas.
Yeah, margarita. I like that. Or alcohol. I guess I should have added that one to it as well. But alcohol can be salty or sweet or bitter.
Right.
Gamut. So it works. Nuggets of wisdom. What's a nugget of wisdom, a nugget of truth that you'd like to share with everybody?
Probably what I want to share is just going back to the roofs and making sure people's educated. Like as we talked briefly about the 1% deductibles, making sure you got your RCV policy, the full replacement policy versus the ACV policy. Make sure you're calling a general contractor out to inspect your stuff before you're calling your agent, or don't bypass your agent and call your insurance directly. I just ran into that today. I went out on a roof inspection. Yes, they had a broken skylight, but they had no other damage. And their deductible was more than what their skylight was going to be. So they're paying for that out of their pocket, and now they got a ding on their insurance that they shouldn't have had on their insurance.
Wow.
So.
All right. Sage wisdom. Good to know. All right, Tony. Well, I've got your information here on the bottom of the screen. It is storm season, and I know he's got a little bit of referral money. Take a minute here. Tell us a little bit about it.
We used to give a flat $250 across the board for roof, any type of contract insurance referral. This year, the boss has taken a little more aggressive point, and the company's actually paying out $10 per square. A square is a 10-foot by 10-foot section.
Okay.
The normal house in Texas is about 30 square. So the normal referral would be $300. As you know, and everyone else knows, there's a lot bigger houses in Texas as well too. Right. If you get into the Frisco area or Lantana, you're looking at 70, 80 squares per house. So, I mean, one simple referral is $700 or $800 in your pocket that one source is writing out to you. So it's definitely something to consider.
Very good. So keep that in mind as we roll into storm season. They're a great company. They have a lot of integrity, and I refer to them all the time. I think that they're great. So, Tony, thank you so much for joining me today, and have an awesome day.
Awesome. Thank you. You too.